Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Macky.
I'm Sid.
And this is my brother Remy, who you
I'm
guys
Remy.
will probably recognize from a video we did almost a year ago.
Where we swapped climbing and mountain biking. We got to do a little bit of both, so that's a fun video if you want to check that one out.
Yeah, we will link to that.
But Remy's a badass climber.
He
and
is,
he
it's
is
true.
Also a life coach. And we decided we would bring him on the channel to talk about New Year's resolutions and how we can all do better.
Why are New Year's resolutions a terrible idea?
Yeah, so January 1 rolls around, we all want to make New Year's resolutions. Great desire and usually poorly executed. So, the classic thing is what? Like, I want to get in shape, I want to save more money, maybe I want to stop drinking alcohol. And you do it for like a week or two, and then you go to your friend's Mardi Gras party in February, and you eat all the cookies, and you're like, oh, I messed up, and then you just give up, because you're like, well, I messed up one time, it's over, I'm terrible, I can't keep resolutions, I'm not disciplined, and that doesn't help anyone. This sort of absolute approach of New Year's resolutions might be the least effective method of goal setting possible. So I thought it would be a cool opportunity to just say, like, well, how do you set effective goals? And that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through 6 steps or 6 aspects of making good goals, and we're going to talk about them in the framework of mountain biking, but really this applies to everything.
It works for the rest of life.
It works for the rest of life.
Since we're all mountain bikers here.
Since mountain biking is the most important part of life, obviously.
Keep it focused.
That's right. All right, well, so number 1, what is number 1?
Number 1 is to always start with the big picture. By the big picture, we basically mean like, what's the point, right? Like, why do you want to do the thing you want to set the goal around? And so before even doing the goals, it's useful to know like what your intention is, like why do you even want to be a better mountain biker, do that drop, win that race, whatever it is, get outside more. We just did an activity that I use all the time with coaching clients, and it's called the Life Blueprint. And it's just a way of zooming out a little bit and getting the big picture of your life. What are the main things that matter to you? Who do you want to be in the world this year? And what are some of the things that you want to accomplish?
So we have a link to this sort of activity that you guys can download, print out, fill out yourselves. I really like it because it sort of helped me define what it is that I want to focus on, my intentions for this coming year.
I like it for 2 reasons. The first one is it's specific and clear. So, it's just like, here are some of my intentions, and you name them and write them down. And it's a process you can just do by yourself. And the second one is it's not just about biking or climbing in my case, or your athletic goals. It fits, really looks at your whole life. And when you're part of something like mountain biking, which I think of as a lifestyle sport, something that like really relates to all parts of your life, and a lot of the athletes that I work with, are trying to talk about like sport-life balance stuff, and so this really helps you start from like, all right, here's all the things that I care about, not just the one piece. Number 2 is set goals that are SMART, and SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. What we're going to do is use the intentions that Macky and Sid came up with and the areas of focus that they wrote around them, and use that as a launching point to talk about goals and how to set effective goals. So what's one goal that you guys have for yourself this year as riders?
Well, so one of the big things we're doing this year, which you guys on the channel know, is we will be racing BC Bike Race. So just doing and completing that race is a really big goal, because it is 8 days of racing. So just
8 days of cross country.
Yeah,
racing.
8 days of cross country racing. So just getting to the finish line is a big deal. And we also, like, at least for me, my goal is to actually be able to race it. I'm not going to put like a number on a finish, because that's like pretty hard to predict. But I want to feel like I'm racing and not like giving up halfway and just kind of plodding to the finish.
Yeah, it's not just about finishing, it's about actually competing.
Yeah, competing. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's pretty specific, so I think we're good on specific.
Yeah.
So that's the S of the
Measurable
SMART.
is a little trickier, I think.
Yeah, so what is it that you really want to get out of the race? Like, you were like, I did it, I did the thing. What's the thing?
I think it's more of a feeling like you showed up and like were focused on going as fast as you could each day, as opposed to just like, oh, I'm gonna make it to the finish line, because we know how to do that. But I think we want to like do it fast and feel like we're, whoever it is, whether it's even if it's just racing essentially ourselves, but race it as opposed to just ride it.
Okay, that's good. Nice. I like the race it because then we can use that in the language
Yeah.
of the goal, right? So you could say, by July 16th, which is, day after the race, right? I race BC bike race. The race encapsulates what you're trying to get at in terms of like, was it a race? Did you show up competitively for it?
Okay, so the the specific thing we're doing is BC bike race.
Yeah.
The measurable is, did we race it? Meaning, did we show up and feel competitive and work hard every day?
Yeah, and just do all the stages, right? Like that's the measure. It's very measurable. Like, you either showed up and did the races, you have time,
or you didn't,
right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's
And
clear.
then attainable.
I think it's
I
pretty
think it's
attainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that we can do.
But it'll
given
also
the
still
correct
be
training
hard.
and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, relevant. So this is the part how does it relate back to that bigger picture for you guys?
It definitely does. I
Yeah,
guess,
it falls into a lot of
Yeah.
for me, it falls into the be more adventurous sort of category
Yeah.
of do some races that I'm not used to doing. I've raced only enduro for the past 4 or 5 years at this point. So, so I think that relevant.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Be more adventurous.
Mhm.
Awesome. And it's time bound.
Yes.
It's got a
It's
date.
time bound.
It's
It
already
has a date.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Sweet.
registered. Check.
Cool.
Okay.
So yeah, we write goals really specifically in my coaching model, and you would just write, in this case, for either of you, it would be I race BC bike race by July 14, 15, 20, 2019. And you put all that in there so that there's no question about what the goal was. And at the end you can be did it, didn't do it.
Underline
Everybody
race.
knows.
A couple
Exactly.
times.
Yeah. Now they know. So that'll be number 4 that we'll get to. Number 3 is set goals, not tasks. So this is an important distinction. A goal should be if you're playing a soccer match, you score a goal, you are psyched. They'll say stoked. You are stoked to score the goal. It should feel
to score the goal.
crossing the finish line with a good time at a race. That should be the feeling of accomplishing a goal, which means that goals are different than tasks, right? Tasks are I have to do something that might get you towards a goal, but you're probably not going to be happy about doing all the tasks you have to do.
And another
make
thing that Sid and I, sort of a different terminology that we've used for this is goals versus process goals. And the goal is something like racing BC bike race, and the process goals are the necessary things
Following
to do
our
that.
training plan.
Following a training plan, or registering for the race,
Yeah.
or getting up there and figuring out the travel
being able
logistics.
to afford to register for the
Paying
race.
the race
They're
fee,
not
paying the
cheap
race fee.
races. Yeah.
And so all those things are process goals or tasks in this terminology that lead you to that goal.
Yep. And tasks are super important,
Yeah.
but they're not goals. So don't set yourself tasks thinking they're goals.
Goals.
So you
Okay.
won't be happy when you score. I mean, you'll be happy, but you're not yes. All right, so then number 4 is accountability. Y'all are pretty good
So
at
the big
this.
one.
Yeah.
Because everybody
Everybody
knows
knows.
everything about your life.
Racing BC bike race. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suggest 2 things for accountability. First is write it down somewhere you'll see it regularly. And so I don't know what that looks like for you guys, but where would you put this goal that you'll see it? So you're remembered oh yeah, this is the thing I'm working towards.
Well,
I
sorry, go
don't
ahead.
know. That's hard because we don't have any walls.
Yeah, you mean you can't just put it at your office?
Yeah. Well, what I just did is after we did the life intentions or the intentions kind of worksheet with Remy, there's an image that you can create, and so I have that set as my computer background. I obviously spend a lot of time on my computer editing videos, and just the tasks that we have to do generally involve my computer. So for me, having it as my computer desktop means that I will see it regularly and be reminded about that goal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, for most people, it's a desk, maybe in your car somewhere on a sticky note, on your phone screensaver, wherever you'll see it regularly. Helps you keep focused on why it matters.
I remember
to you.
someone,
Yeah.
I think it was listening to a podcast, someone was talking about setting their password for things to be their goal,
Whoa,
because every time you type it in, you remember your goal.
that's sweet. I
Oh,
like
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You could have race BCBR as a password.
That
It's not
is
actually
cool.
not what my password is, so sorry guys. I try to hack
You
in all
can
my stuff
try.
with that, but it won't work.
Fool them.
And then it's telling friends and family and random people on the internet about your goals so that those people can hold you accountable as well. And so this is us telling you guys that we are going to race BC Bike Race this year, and you can hold us accountable to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like awesome when you get to tell people. It's an awesome chance to also ask for their support, right? Which means like, hey, will you check in with me next month and see how this is going?
Yeah.
Or like, for me, I'm a climber, so like you're always working with partners on like these larger rope climbs, and you need people to coordinate with, you know. So it's like awesome to get other people like enrolled in your vision, you know, whatever it is. And people like your stoke is contagious, so like spread it around, you know. Because if you're like, I'm gonna go to this thing, people get jazzed up about it. So telling people
guys,
is a great place to start.
We are going to go race BC Bike Race.
Maybe you should go race BC Bike Race.
Maybe
too.
you should. Or come out and cheer us. We've actually had a couple people say that they are going to be in the area and are going to come watch and cheer us on, which I think will
that's
be really
accountability.
Cool. That is accountability. They will know, and they will give us a hard time about it.
Yeah, y'all are killing accountability. So then number 5 is focus on the next small thing to do. And what I mean by that is whenever you're working towards a big goal, there's going to be lots of moments when you want to give up, or you think it's too hard, or maybe it's not even worth it anymore. And in those moments, what you can do is shift your attention to like, what's the next little thing I can do towards this? Whether that's book the ticket for the the ride, like go ahead and do your next workout, like whatever the next little thing is that will get you there. And so.
So
I'm
these
sure you guys
sort
are good
of
at
connect
this.
with like the tasks, right? Like
you're
focusing on like, okay, what's the next task I have to do? If the big picture seems too hard and too complicated, like, oh, I can't do this goal anymore. Focus instead on like, what's the next process goal or the next step I have to take, instead of constantly just focusing on the goal.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, because I know there's going to be days between now and BC Bike Race where you guys are like going out to do like a hard workout and the weather's terrible and
you
like
really
maybe you
today.
like haven't built out your bike the right way and you're like, yada yada yada, I have to drive to the trail and like maybe I don't have time, I'm working, there's all sorts of stuff that's going to come up. It's always going to come up. And you're going to be like, wow, this race is just going to be like so hard, like, and it's hard to imagine yourself racing for like, what, 7 days on a cross country trail. You're like, oh, do I even want to do that? And you're like, yeah, actually I do. I want to be an adventurer, or whatever that big picture is for you. And then you say like, well, what's the next little thing I do? Like go get in the car, or like, put your helmet in your bag, like whatever the thing is. And number 6 is, and this is like, I think they're key to what makes great athletes. Choose to be willing. And by being willing, I mean something really specific, which is like you can really want something, and that's different than saying like, I'm definitely going to do the thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I work with people in coaching all the time is like getting used to listening to what the like excuses are that you come up with for yourself for not doing things you really want to do, like going to race that race, right? And so when you're in those moments where it feels like hard or impossible, you're not sure what to do next, ask yourself like, am I willing still, nevertheless, despite all these circumstances, to do it, And that capacity to be willing is something that everyone has. Focusing on that is what really like gets you past the hard moments towards the really big goals.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever really put it that way. Like I hadn't thought of it necessarily as willing, but I think like something we think about a lot is like and it is like a willingness to like put something out there, even though it might be a failure, and kind of focus on creating something or doing something or going to a race and not focusing on the outcome and not kind of letting those excuses of like, this might be a failure or this might be unpleasant or I'm bad at this, like just like not letting that get in the way of what you want to do.
This one was the one that I found kind of the most confusing, and we actually discussed these beforehand so that Sid and I would really understand these different steps. And I think it was the difference between wanting to and actually being willing to do, like Remy was saying. So lots of people want lots of things, but it's being able to take that next step and say, am I willing to actually do the work necessary to do this thing?
Invest or risk or sacrifice.
Or time, or whether it's time or money or, whatever, to do that to actually make this a reality.
Yeah, and it's something I say often to clients is like, successful people are willing to do things that they aren't always sure that they can do, and they're willing to do things they don't know how to do, and they're willing to do things they might not even want to do at the moment. because they see this bigger picture of what they're after. And so your willingness is like your power to really be great at something. And so I offer that as actually like a mantra or a tool, right? Like when you're doing something hard or not sure what's next, say like, all right, just ask yourself, like, am I willing? Nevertheless, am I willing? And use those words. And if you say, yes, I'm willing, you really are capable of a lot more than you think you are.
Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you to learn more about life coaching, how should they do that?
Yeah, I think we'll drop a link in the description, but my website's Remy Franklin, RemyFranklin.com, and there's lots of info on there. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook and the YouTubes.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We will be back on Friday, and until then, don't forget.
Use these steps to
be more awesome.